other son wants to be actually in the military. I'm very proud of him. I hope he sticks to that. But I think one phenomenon that I observe that I would like to see change is that I don't think we pay enough attention in this country to training for the trades. It's really, I grew up in a neighborhood where we were surrounded by folks who were plumbers, electricians, carpenters, skilled men and women who did not, if they could have, if they so chose, they didn't go to a four-year university. They made an excellent living. They were great citizens of their community. They were happy and they were productive. And I feel as though we've gotten away from that quite a bit. I would like to see more value placed on education across the entire range of professions and trades. And I think that's one thing we don't emphasize enough. Again, it's a marketplace thing. We need to let the marketplace choose that. But I don't think we pay. And one of the reasons for that, I'm sorry, I'll let you. But it's the way we structure loan programs. I don't think the federal government should be in the business of giving student loans either. No. Okay, because that again, the federal government is picking winners. Wrong. Yes, sir.
But the blue collar workers are out of work now more than a lot of other industries.
Again,
they're all starving to death too,
yes,
because of the real estate problem.
I hear you. Again, we need to get the federal government off the backs of the people in this economy. It's not going to get better unless we do.
They've had 60 years of doing what they wanted.
That's only part of it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the education goes, I hear Obama constantly saying we've got to educate our children better, and all of those jobs that you would educate your children better for, they're going to China, they're going to India. I've seen whole departments in my company close and send the job to India not because the workers are better, because they're cheap. Cheap labor. And our country would never do that before. They would always want us to have, values in who we hire and who we do business for. We have no values anymore. There is no civil rights that we uphold outside of this country. They'll beat us to death that we're not doing and saying the right thing. But heaven forbid, we say anything about another country that we're getting for $5 an hour a job. That's ridiculous. So how can I tell my children to go and get this education and you're going to have a really nice job when that's not true? You will if you move to India and you get $5 an hour, but you're not going to get it here in the United States because our jobs are leaving the country. And that's because of these trade agreements.
That's certainly part of it. I'm not going to. Trade agreements allow.
1999 came out with the trade agreement with China, and that is when our jobs started exiting the country, and not exiting for countries that are in the free world, like Germany. All of them, they're all losing because I did international business. They are all losing jobs, and they're all doing business, including Japan, which we never thought would happen, with China. And the parts and the garbage that we're getting out of there, we replace it 10 times more than we did any American product that was made. I've been through 3 microwaves in about 5 years. And they're all made over there. But I have a microwave that was made in the United States for the last 20 years that's still working.
My parents have their Litton microwave oven.
And I will never get rid of it because it's the only thing that will ever run.
Litton Industries in the good old USA. And nearly 50 years later, 40 years later, it's still working.
Your man, I mean.
That's right.
But what do you tell your children then? You say education. Math, science, all of those jobs are going out of the country. So what do I tell them? Become a trade, become a plumber. And I agree the trades are important, and there's too much emphasis on college educations and masters and bachelors and all that other stuff, when common sense is more important in a marketplace than any of that, because I hired many people that were very book smart, but they had no common sense, and they were no good to me.
And that's the marketplace. You're right. That's the marketplace. But I think, the common answer underlying all of this is that we have to allow Americans to do what they do best. We're never going to solve any of these problems if we don't. And we do need to constantly think about how we're structuring trade agreements. Inherently, I think if, in the best of all possible worlds, which isn't what we have, it's never what we have, in the best of all possible worlds, we can trade very freely, with other countries that trade freely and honestly with us. If we can do that, that works great. You know, it's just like trying to look at the insurance industry, health insurance in the United States. Every state has a wall up, everybody's suffering. You know, freer trade among the states would be better. You know, we have to be sensitive to the fact that not every trade partner is going to deal with us fairly. And I hear that.
I've seen the deficit,
No,
and China does not deal with us fairly.
I'm not arguing against your experience at all. But I do feel that the way in which we can deal with it on a very immediate basis, again, is to shrink this federal government, because our debt's going to kill us. Our debt's going to kill us before anything else does. Yes, ma'am.
What areas would you cut?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to just material.
No, that's right.
To give.
That's right.
What would be an area?
You bet. Couple things. Number one, you know, make sure that we completely stop the movement of the nationalization of healthcare, any expansion of entitlements, cap and tax. Make sure that doesn't happen. Any more so-called stimulus bailout or any of those other aspects. I would not nationalize the student loan industry. Stop that as well. What else can we do? The president spoke about non-military discretionary spending. That's about a third of the federal government's budget. Military spending is, you know, probably everybody's aware, is about a third. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, smaller part of that, but about 60% right now, almost 2/3 of the federal government, and growing. So we can take that about 1/3 that's not the big entitlements, that's not military, and work with that. The most radical proposal, which still wouldn't solve our entire problem, is to take every program in that wedge and either make it privatize it, take it off the federal government's books entirely, or defer them to the states. You know, states, this is your stuff now, or stop them. And that is a big range of programs, including the Department of Education, which a lot of folks argue is not pulling its weight at all, and is a dead weight on our federal expenditures. So I certainly would not weep bitter tears if we eliminated the Department of Education.
What do you say about the in New York? On education, the Board of Regents, there's only 3 states in the union that have this ridiculous requirement.
Right.
And it's a loaded, useless piece of paper.
Sure. I confess, I haven't studied the Board of Regents just because I've been so concerned about stuff at the federal level, but, you know, I am sympathetic to unburdening our communities from,
I see more kids doing the 5-year high school plan because they just can't get it.
But certainly, you know, in terms of the federal government, you know, one thing we can do is eliminate the federal Department of Education. But there are other programs that, you know, frankly, you know, we may not want to eliminate. The Department of Interior, National Parks, you know, I kind of think there's some legitimate federal function there, but that's part of that wedge. Paul Ryan, who is the congressman from Wisconsin, has come up with a roadmap for America. And can I see a show of hands? How many folks are familiar with his roadmap? How many folks have heard about it? Okay, you can check it on the web. It is a bold proposal. Paul Ryan, everybody remembers Jack Kemp? Yeah. God rest his soul. And I was a big fan of Congressman Kemp. Paul Ryan is, in a sense, his legacy. Paul Ryan was one of his staff. He's a young fellow. He's probably only about 40 years old. But he has come up with a bold proposal that does also look very objectively, if you will, at the future of all of the spending programs that the federal government has. And I think we're going to end up having pretty soon to look at a program like Paul Ryan's roadmap, which talks about how we control spending in every government budget program, not just the non-military discretionary spending, and looks at how we, and by the way, it includes earmarks in that, you know, no more. But looks at those, and no raises for the Congress. That's another thing we need to do right away, is cut the expenditures of the Congress. Frankly, we ought to just stop paying them and send them all home, but, this Congress. But I think that